Good evening, it's Quizzy Monday, and we are back with a packed show. And when I say packed, I don't just mean the chat that we're going to have, but we're packed with guests tonight. So it's going to be an absolute cracker. We have Lewis back with me tonight, which is great. And we also have 2 contestants from Mastermind, and we have 5 from Only Connect. So it promises to be an absolute corker. Before we get going, just a couple of reminders and a couple of bits of updates. So reminder that we have a website, allthingsquiz.com. You can sign up for our newsletter at the website, which goes out every Tuesday with news from the world of quiz and reminders of all the votes and competitions that are going. So go to allthingsquiz.com if you want to sign up for that. It's free, obviously. Our most recent videos have been some YouTube shorts. We've been experimenting with those on the Nobel Prizes. So about 30 to 40 seconds each, just some key information. We'll probably do a longer one in due course. So look out for those if you want to find out what's going to crop up in your quizzes coming up soon. The winner of What is the Question last week was this one by Phil Reynolds. The answer in need of a question was Operation. His question was in their BBC Two sketch show. Mel Smith and Griff Rhys-Jones performed a parody version of a song by The Who in which they played geriatric rockers singing. People try to put us down talking about my what? Operation. Well done there, Phil. This week's What is the Question answer in need of a question is Blink, and you can now vote at tinyurl.com/WITQ Blink. I think that is all my updates. Really rush through because we want to get to the people that you want to hear from. We've got people in the chat already. Gerard is chatting away looking at cocktails. Michael, I imagine Suffering Bus is Sean Bean's favourite tipple. Indeed. There you go. That's the quality of chat that we're getting. But if you've got any questions that you want to put to our guest tonight, you can pop them into the chat. But let's kick off with Mastermind. Let's bring back Lewis to start with. Hello, Lewis.
Hello.
Did you have a nice holiday?
I had a lovely time, thank you.
Yeah.
Great to be back in freezing cold Sheffield. No place I'd rather be.
Well, I mean, it is one of the finest cities in this fair land, so it is good to have you back. And to have with us tonight, we have the return of Steve Barnes. Hello, Steve. And we have good. And we have a welcome to Rob Jones. Hello, Rob.
Evening all.
So, Mastermind tonight. It always threatened to be a really good episode when I saw that you two were on. And it's always hard to spot who's on because of the little picture the BBC releases. So thank you both of you for kind of making it known that you were going to be there. When you arrived at the studio, presumably you didn't have a clue who you were up against. Was there a moment where you first saw each other and thought, hang on, I know that old bugger?
It was, yeah, when I saw Steve, because it was in the hotel room where we have the briefing. And I saw Steve. I saw Steve and thought, I recognise him. I remember him doing very well on things.
Yeah, I had a similar thing. I recognised you, Rob, because I think it was a few days before I decided to watch the Connections Online Quiz League final. I'd missed it at the time, and Rob was there in that final, of course, playing very well. And I saw him, and I thought, I recognise this guy. I can't put his face to. And then it was mentioned his name. I thought, oh no, he's really good. So it was one of those moments where I was a bit like, oh no, this is like the worst. Well, not the worst thing that could possibly happen, but it definitely makes you feel a little bit more scared going in. But yeah,
but it is nice to see familiar faces as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did it make you kind of change how you were going to play the game? Did you have some sort of thoughts, and you think, oh no, I've got a real player, real competitor?
Well, I don't think I'm clever enough to do Mastermind tactics, other than get as many right as I can.
It certainly didn't. I mean, I was just more terrified about the experience. The whole, I've been studying this specialist subject for ages. What if I just get everything wrong? It's the most embarrassing thing that could possibly happen. As soon as you're kind of in that chair, you don't have time to think of tactics or anything like that.
That was the only plan, was to not make an idiot of myself.
Yeah.
But clearly both of you also had a plan not to pass, because you were both quite deliberate at not doing that. And at one point, Steve, when you were tied on score, it looked like, well, passes might be the thing that would get you through if if Rob slipped up. So you deliberately came up with an answer at one point, didn't you? Somebody Smith, I think it was.
Yeah, Paul Smith for that Archbishop of Canterbury. I had no idea.
Mm.
So I just thought, I just need to pull a first name and a surname out and hope
Yeah.
that, Interestingly, quite similar to the word pass, Paul Smith. There's a ability standard. Must have been going through my mind, but yeah.
Pam is saying, hello, Rob and Steve. That's our lovely
Hello.
Pam. And Claire, I couldn't tell who was on. I had the wrong glasses on. So we could make anything up right now. And just chipping in here, I like the guy they had on last week. That's Michael. He was sitting in last week, did a fantastic job. Good to see you, Michael. Now, Billy Joel, and Antoine Lavoisier. What things went through your mind when you were selecting those as your first round subject? What were your considerations, Rob?
Were they your first choices?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it was. I mean, people who've known me might have been surprised that I didn't do something regarding horse racing, which is one of my great passions. But Billy Joel was my first choice, mainly because I've been interested in him and his music since I was a teenager, and a lot of the information kind of stuck with me as a teenager and has stuck with me ever since. So the revision, was fun to do, but I knew a lot of it was already in my head already.
And you weren't tempted to keep it as a possible grand final subject to get some sort of video message from him?
I did. I'll be lying if I said that never crossed my mind. Maybe fly me out to New York for that little 5-minute thing they do.
Is there a temptation that when you're doing something that you love and you've got a particular affinity with, that you kind of almost feel more of a pressure because you don't want to kind of let your subject down?
I don't think Billy cares about me, to be honest.
Really? Oh.
No, I didn't have that problem.
No, not at all. Not at all. He's you do your best, and if it doesn't go well, so be it.
Yeah. Now, Steve, you're from a science background.
Yeah.
Antoine Lavoisier obviously kind of chimes with that. But what were your particular reasoning behind picking him as a subject?
Well, in all honesty, when I was filling out the form, I needed a 5th specialist subject, and I just thought I'm going to pick a scientist from my sphere, which is chemistry, and he was the name I happened to pick. And yeah, I just ended up when we had the discussions at interview, that was kind of the thing. I thought, yeah, you know what? Why not? Let's do that as the first round. So I didn't really know that much about him to begin with, to be honest. I knew that he was a chemist. I knew that he had his head cut off, and that was about it. Aside from his scientific discoveries, anything about his life, I was not in my sphere of awareness when I initially chose it, which was a bit risky. But yeah.
Did you regret it, or were you pleased you picked it?
No regrets about choosing. I mean, he's like a brother to me now. A very dead, headless brother. I know so much about him.
Steve, I'm not surprised. It was a very impressive and assured series of answers, I thought, that you gave.
Well, thank you. It was, I mean, when it came to the revision side of things, I kind of took inspiration from this technique that we use at school, something called a memory workout, where it's essentially just as many questions from the GCSE science specification as possible, and we get the students to practice it day in and day out. And I thought, well, that's the kind of thing I need to be doing, because it clearly works for them. Yeah. And I, went through that biography, those websites, got my own memory workout, put it together, so hundreds of questions. And the 11 questions I got right were questions that I'd anticipated they could ask me. The one I didn't was one that had kind of slipped through in my revision. So yeah.
That sounds very thorough. Rob, what was your preparation like?
Mainly flashcards. Basically going through the biography and making just a flashcard for any interesting fact that I thought might come up. It's not something I usually do with my quiz revision, but for this, I felt I had to. So yeah, about 400, 500 questions. I decided, I made the play. He was involved in a very complicated legal case with his ex-manager in the 80s, and lots of technical legal things came up, and I made a decision to avoid that. Luckily, as it happened. But flashcards, and with my wife acting as Clive, putting me through, putting me under the spotlight, questions at speed, which I'm not used to otherwise.
Yeah, but it went very well for both of you actually. You got 12, Rob. And you hit the bar on one.
It was a really near miss.
It was the club where he played in California, where he got the inspiration for the Piano Man song, and it's the executive room, and I said the executive lounge, which I put to having been in an airport for the first time in years the previous day.
Understandable, and we've heard.
Not that I was anywhere near the executive lounge.
I was going to say, what were they giving you that they weren't giving me?
I sense a conspiracy already. That no, that was. I mean, it was fantastic. You got 12. You could have edged 13. Steve 11. But when you're that close to one another, and you both know you're really good players, and it's no disrespect to Martin and Amy, who both scored. Got good scores, 8 and 10. If you got either of those, actually, you're within striking distance if you have a very strong general knowledge, as Martin did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
incredible round. Yeah,
I mean, it was
really
one of those
strong.
things where, watching Rob go first and getting a score of 12, you just thought, oh, blimey, okay, great. Which is the worst thing about being the fourth person up. You just know that you're going to see everyone else and how everyone else does. But then equally to see Martin in the general knowledge do what he did was insane. It just felt like he wasn't getting anything wrong. I was just sat there just thinking, what's this? Where's this come from? This is insane. How are we supposed to match this? But yeah, it was just an incredible performance. Really, really good.
Yeah. I mean, it could all have been quite different, because he just got a little bit of a sticky patch at the end, didn't he? He got a couple wrong, at 2 averages wrong out of the last 4. It could have been so much tighter. Rob, you might even have found yourself in a tie break.
That would be fun.
I mean, Steve, with 22, when you were tied, were you starting to think in terms of tie breaks?
I think at that point I was thinking more, it's in the hands of however Rob does now. I thought, given that he got 12 in his specialist subject, and that he, I knew him already as a very good quizzer, I thought, well, the likelihood of him getting 10 or more is quite high. So I wasn't really thinking about tie breaks. For a minute I forgot that Martin had passed a few, and I thought, oh, there could be a 3-way tie at one point. But of course, yeah, I don't think at that point, when I heard I got 22, I thought, okay, it's probably over, but we'll see how it goes. And Rob did again an exceptional job on the general knowledge. So
yeah.
Yeah.
It was a really, really good job. We'll get to Rob in a second. Your general knowledge started with a very unfortunate question for you. Lugs or lug holes, which is a colloquial term. It was used in my family. So for me it was like easy, but I know what it's like to have a first question in general knowledge where you're kind of thinking, hang on, this is meant to be the easy one.
I was going to say, yeah.
With that, I mean, what does that put into your mindset when I'm going to have to score well? I'm going to have to score well, and then your first one.
Yeah, I mean, listening to everybody else's questions, and I've done this from the beginning of the series since it started airing. Everyone's first question, I've been like, well, I knew that, and then of course my one was the one I didn't. And as you say, it's a colloquial term. I'd not come across it in my life before that very moment, and my mind started just to wander. As soon as the question started, I heard lugs, and I thought, oh yeah, lug nuts, getting tires off of cars, that kind of thing. And then he said which body part, and I just thought, oh, hang on a minute, this is nowhere near where the question I thought the question was going. And in the moment, it felt like a really long time, but watching it back today, it didn't feel that long at all. But it clearly threw me.
Yeah, on the second question about Rasputin, you took that extra second. You seemed
like forever.
I was like, I know you know this, Steve. Wait, come on. And can you remember that moment? Were you just sort of associating to go? I can't get 2 wrong at the start.
I think
was it that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think it must have been that. I remember just being really frustrated at that first question, but it was a frustration that. And I still look back at it now, that none of the questions I got wrong, I'm annoyed that I got wrong. There was nothing that I look back and think, any other day I'm doing that set of questions, I'm still getting exactly the same score. It doesn't matter what order you put the questions in. Maybe I could have, without that hesitation on Rasputin, maybe I could have got another question at the end, because it was tight on the buzzer. But hey, it is what it is. It's just a really annoying way to start with general knowledge. You know, when other weeks people are asked things like, you know, what's the name of the thing you use to move a cursor on a computer, and what's the number 1 in Roman numerals or whatever it was. You know, it's just one of those things.
I got my first question wrong on something once. It was a dodgy question. I'm not going to get into it. I get annoyed about it every time it comes up. But the person who went before me, their first question was, "What's the 4th letter of the alphabet?" And I was just like, God, yeah. Like it's we know that they try and give you one that's supposed to ease you in. That's definitely part of it. And you can't help but doubt yourself if it doesn't work out like they planned it and you want it to be.
It's been eating me up for so long. It's just that question. I know that everyone watching and Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it these days, has proven me right in that people are just going to watch it and think, yeah, how do you not know that, you idiot? Yeah, everyone knows lugs. You know, I mean, I said to Gareth earlier, it must have been because I listened as a child. No one was telling me to open my lug holes or anything like that because I was already being super obedient. So, you know, credit where credit is due, I think. But yeah, it's just been eating me up for so long. And I think I made it a bigger event in my head than it actually turned out to be tonight. But it's just been one of those things. I asked my parents, I phoned my parents immediately afterwards and said, "Do you know what lugs are?" And they're like, "Yeah, it is." And I was like, "Oh, great. Thank you." So,
I mean, there's an inherent risk, and we might touch on this later when we go on to Only Connect with Sam, but there's an inherent risk to being a school teacher when you go on a show like this. But have you got any anticipation of what might happen when you go in tomorrow?
I already know what's going to happen. I mean, a few students know that I've been on it, and they say, "Oh, did you win?" I'm like, "I'm not saying." "Yeah, but you've done 2 shows before, sir, and you haven't won." Well, we got to the semi-finals. That was okay. We got to the second round. That was like, yeah, but you didn't win, though, did you? Yeah, no, I didn't. No, and I mean, to me, it's just I use it as a, you know, it shows that I'm not afraid to go out and not necessarily win. It's showing that failure can actually be okay. I mean, I was really quite surprised how content and happy I was with not winning. I thought I was going to be really annoyed, but I set myself a target beforehand. Thought I want to get 20 points. That's what I want. Got that. So I was well chuffed with that. And again, I was happy to lose to such a great quizzer as Rob, who put in a stellar performance on the day.
Great attitude, and we wouldn't expect anything else from you anyway, Steve. Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo, says Claire.
Lovely,
I mean, you could get that made into one of those inspirational memes.
Get it made into a tattoo.
You could indeed. Yeah. But I mean, that it's inherent in the game, isn't it? In quizzing, there's only one person who can win. It's how you kind of deal with not winning, which happens way more often than not. That's the key thing. And say as a teacher, that's a good lesson to learn to to teach to kids. As Chris said, very high standard tonight. So yeah, I mean, next time you'll be geared up even more to do well. Rob, when you'd seen Martin plow through 14 and you'd seen Steve get up to 22, and you know, okay, well, I've got to hit double figures here. What was your sense of how you thought you might do at that point?
I mean, having kept a rough tally of how I did at home in the general knowledge throughout the series, I thought, well, I can normally get to double figures, but that's at home. You don't know what you're going to be like in the chair. I certainly wasn't keeping count as I was going along. There's absolutely no possible way I think you can do that. So it was just do the best. And I same as Steve, I chucked in a ridiculous wrong answer just to not pass. And the only one, I mean, I should have known Beth Mead, but I just said the first female footballer who I knew had scored some goals, and that was Russo, and obviously incorrect. But otherwise, no, there was nothing that I should have got right in that round. Otherwise, and just squeaked it at the end.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. And with Jack, who we're bringing on shortly, I also set myself a target of 20 when I went on Mastermind. I think that's, a decent hurdle to get over. I mean, I guess you got off to a good start in your general knowledge. Then you had a couple of you didn't get right. Lucky swans. Name a water bird.
Name a water bird. Yeah. I had enough in my brain to come up with a water bird.
Then Spencer Tunick, Beth Mead, and Roy Jenkins. But again, it's a little bit like Steve's. You know, not a lot there that you think. You know, maybe Beth Mead, as he said, on another day, but not a huge amount there that you would kick yourself. You should absolutely have got.
I'd forgotten about the Chancellor one, and I think my brain was elsewhere, and all I could remember about that question was former Chancellor. So I said one.
Yeah.
Not actually really knowing what the question was.
Yeah. Now, one thing that was interesting in your chat afterwards was that somebody in OQL gave you tips.
Yeah.
Who was this mysterious deep throat of the quiz world?
That's Mr. Tim Hall.
Tim Hall,
who has become a good quizzing friend over the past few years online. He got to Mastermind semi-final a couple of years ago doing REM. So he had done a musical subject as well. He was telling me, you know, should I err on the musical side of things or the biographical side of things?
So Tim is playing our Mastermind predictions competition.
Yes, I don't know what he's put for.
He is doing very well at the moment. I don't know if he scored any today. I'm looking at Valerie. She doesn't know either. But we've got a slide on this. So these were the top predicted questions before the show. So on Billy Joel, Christy Brinkley, Harry Truman, Piano Man.
None of those came up. Yeah.
None of those came up. On Lavoisier, the Ferme Générale did.
Yeah.
Paul's, I don't think she did she?
She didn't,
and
no,
Oxygen didn't. But we had several people, I think, who predicted.
Didn't Reynolds come up, but in general knowledge?
Yes.
Do people get points for that?
No. It's a harsh competition. But it's interesting. Steve had said, you know, you'd been trying to, anticipate the questions that came up, and all but one did. Rob, in terms of your prep, were there questions that just jumped out as you, or facts that you thought, oh, if I was a question writer, that would definitely be in?
Oh, interesting. Without saying too much about the future, there's more of that in my next appearance, where there are about 2 or 3 answers that come up that I had money coming up. I'm trying to think if there was anything in particular. I thought a really quite obscure one that would come up but didn't, and I made sure I remembered this, was Billy Joel injured his hand in the 80s. Nearly stopped him playing piano. He was knocked off his motorbike by a car, and the name of the driver I thought might come up.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's not a bad spot.
Cornelia Bynum.
There you go. You get to use it finally. Steve, anything that you pegged as a question which didn't show up?
I don't know about not showing up. Certainly the question about Lagrange's comment about him being, his head, that one at the very end of my set, I thought, oh, that feels like a question they could ask. And the question about the quote about gunpowder as well, I thought, oh yeah, that feels like a question they could ask. I don't think there was anything in particular I thought, oh yeah, they'll definitely ask that, and then they didn't. But I think, for me, when I was revising, there was so many monetary values I remember learning and thinking, oh, they might ask how much his wife's dowry was. They might ask how much his inheritance from his mother was, things like that. And I learned all of these little numbers that I got confused all the time. And none of that came up, which, you can always say it's a shame when it does. And then the thing that did come up and I did get wrong, the Society of 1789, I think I must have read it and thought, Society of 1789, that doesn't sound like a proper noun. I just thought it was just a passing thing. So I'm not too aggrieved by anything. So.
I mean, you often don't get the numbers thing coming up, but I don't. First time I was on, there was a really boring fact about the Great Fire of London and the rate of tax they put on coal. And I can still remember it now, 1 shilling per chaldron, tedious as anything. But I did exactly what you'd done and tried to learn all those sorts of numbers, and that one did come up. So it absolutely can. So these were the most popular guesses. Ed Mason, who is leading the table anyway, got 5 points tonight. Steve Oldham got 4. Chris is in the chat. Got 3. Philip Isaac, Toby Teller also. Then David Taylor, Emma Knapp, and Michael McPartland and Pam, who are both in the chat. got 2. Ken McKenzie and Tom Mead all got 1. Subject to audit, and if anybody has a protest to make, then feel free to contact us, and we will reevaluate. And next week's, that's the overall leaderboard. Ed Mason, 24 points. Philip Isaac second. Pam is still in third. I think it's the first week that Yi hasn't scored. But yeah, that's our leaderboard as it stands. The full leaderboard you can see on our website after tonight in the results section of the website. And next week, these are our subjects: German military aircraft of the Second World War, Arrested Development, James McNeill Whistler, and the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
I'm guessing that's the TV show Arrested Development and not the...
Yes.
It'd be good if it was the rap group. That'd be a real turn up for the books.
I mean, I'm assuming it's a TV show, but actually, it could be. Anyway, yes, I think it's a TV show. You can submit your predictions to tinyurl.com/mm-predict-23. And if you want to go for Mr. Wendell, it's a brave guess. Very well played tonight. John says Chris. So that's our Mastermind predictions. Rob, congratulations. Steve, I'm sure we will see you again at some point on Mastermind. This hasn't put you off, has it?
The people's champ, Steve.
It hasn't put me off at all. If anything, it's definitely made me want to go back and do one of those subjects that I was maybe keeping in reserve for a later round. So we'll see.
Excellent. And Rob, you will be coming back. Are you allowed to say what your subject is? I imagine it's been filmed by now.
We've had people tell us before, so
we have had. Yes.
You've not signed an NDA, Rob. Just tell us.
It has been filmed. I think I'm doing the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Oh my word! Wow. Okay,
just the whole thing.
Just
from 1960.
Okay,
that is still a lot.
Still a long time. But
horses, riders, trainers,
all that stuff.
Well, wow. Good luck with that. Good retrospective luck with that. And thanks both of you for coming on. Really enjoyable chatting to you, and really enjoyable watching you tonight on Mastermind. So we're going to play a video or so, and when we come back, we'll be chatting Only Connect. Rob and Steve, I think are you both departing us at this point? Or
I think I need to get some sleep. I'm up very early tomorrow.
I might stay if you'll have me.
We will. Of course, we'll have you stay on, Steve. So, Rob, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations, and
great job.
Look forward to
seeing
you
again, Steve. Thanks, Lewis. Thanks, Gareth.
Huge thanks to our community of All Things Quiz members. Your support helps us to keep this channel going. It pays for essential running costs. Now, if you want to become a member of All Things Quiz, all you have to do is go to patreon.com/allthingsquiz, and from £3 a month, you not only get to support the work of this channel, but there are a range of member benefits available, including our monthly quiz. Hope to see you soon. And apart from that, I'm always told off for not mentioning this. So let's just say, if you like what we do, here at All Things Quiz, then please make sure you click the subscribe button. Please also click the like button. That helps YouTube to recommend us to other people like you. You can also share our videos with others and click the notifications button to make sure you're alerted whenever we release a new video. So now we're delighted. Steve is staying with us. Steve is an Only Connect veteran. You'll remember him from, was it last year or the year before, Steve?
It's the year before now.
Year before. Oh, how time flies.
Where'd it go?
But what we have with us, actually, do we have everybody?
We do.
We have all 6. So we have the Antiphons. We've got Andrew, Felicity, and James. And then from the Thrifters, we've got Will, Jack, and Sam. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Wow, I mean, this is quite the cluttered screen. We haven't had something like this for a long time. It's tremendous. Earlier, when we were previewing this, we had all 9 slots filled, and it looked like Celebrity Squares, but I can't make that gag now. But talking about gags, Gerard, always one for a joke.
What? Since when?
Talking about the Cheltenham Gold Cup, I hope you've got a best mate to practice with. There you go, Gerard. Fantastic. And what else have we got? Puzzle Dan. Oh, that's Dan. Thrifters. God, what a performance. And Claire, also on this series, is saying hi all. So hang on, Sam is about to give an album a decent to strong. Right. Anyway, Lewis, how was OC for you tonight?
I thought, this is going to be controversial. It was a good episode of television.
Wow.
I thought it was strong. I don't want to put too much out there. I thought it was strong. I thought it was pretty strong. I think we can see. I think there was only one X tonight, and I think it's been a while since there's only been one X on these episodes. I think there's been a couple of weeks ago, maybe the week before that. It was very, very strong. How did you guys all feel about it? Obviously, it's the winner plays winner match. There's a little bit less pressure on it. Did you go into it just going, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have fun. This one doesn't count as much"? Or
I certainly did.
Yeah, with a score like 32, though, Sam, was that born of competitive nature? Or was it just your questions coming in?
Maybe it sort of like helped us play with freedom, because I don't know what it was like to the two, but certainly for me, it was very much like we know that we've got another game no matter what now, so we can kind of just relax a bit. You know, we've got one win under our belt. We're back again, so yeah, it was just more relaxed, I guess.
And sponsor.
Yeah, I think you get a certain amount of confidence from winning a game. Going, oh, okay, we did deserve to be here. We haven't completely messed this up, and then we came up against these guys and came down to earth with a bump. I think.
Yeah, although winning one game was objective, unlocked, and the second one was definitely
everything else is a free shot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you got the one under your belt. Have we got a stat? I mean, I know Jack, you're a big keeper of these stats. Have you got a stat for where a score of 32 fits in the grand scheme of things?
No, I remember finding out that the sort of 30 club of teams that have got 30 or more is bigger than I thought.
You guys have done nothing special. Yeah. This was boring rubbish. Yeah. It's not worth talking about. But was it a 50-point overall game? Is massively strong, and it started really strong. Really great first round. Nice ones, feeling your ways into the game. I thought that great question that you guys, Antiphons, started with. It was one of those ones that was tricky. It was tricky, and then it was like, oh, of course it is.
It's pretty obvious once you see the answer.
Yeah, the last clue, it really, I was like, oh god, yeah. How did you feel about that? Was it one when those first few questions, both teams, when you were getting ones, trading off ones, was it you were all just feeling your way into the game? Did it? Were you worrying about anyone getting too far ahead, or was it just like, one getting an answer correct? That's all that really matters at this point.
I think we're just trying to get the answers right, but
I just points on the board, isn't it? At that point, it's like, okay, we're not going to go into round 2 with 0 points, so happy days, sort of thing. Yeah, I
thought it was a very strong first round. I think some really good questions. The music one I thought was really nice. I had no idea what any of those things were until 76 trombones. But everything was answered in round 1. Was there any highlights between the teams? Anything that you thought was particularly good?
I thought I liked the picture question with the apples. That was quite nice. Will clutch on that one. But no, like you say, it was just a very sort of nothing spectacular, but just decent performance from both teams. I think
it was like a good batsman just doing ones and twos. Exactly. Knows where it'll follow.
Very much like my cricket batting style. I have to say, I like the "This Is Not A" set. The Public Image Limited song being one of my favourite. But I also have to say, Antiphons, you're in the Horned Club, and I very much appreciate that. I think that is a good thing.
I didn't even notice that. I knew I'd done it at one point, but I didn't even notice that was tonight. They were not intentional either way. I think.
Don't break my heart, Andrew. Don't break my heart and kind of back down from this.
Important to people.
Yeah, me. Anyway.
Some people are really very much the other direction. Yeah.
Apparently so, but people can be wrong.
And yet again, we got a music question that, for the sake of our reputations, we had to get, didn't we?
Yeah, no pressure. Are you even aware of that?
We're very much a classical music team as opposed to.
Well, yes, with the trumpet tune, didn't it? The trumpet, I still don't know, is it a trumpet tune or a trumpet voluntary? But that meant that was our one that got us into it.
I seem to remember there was a discussion afterwards about brass versus wind, which I think seems to just get. I think they cut that out.
Yes, Victoria said, if you play a wind instrument, and then we all answered, and then somebody in her ear said, wind and brass aren't the same thing. Are they not? We're going to get Twitter, aren't we? Twitter are going to be honest, aren't they? Okay, so that's clearly what it is.
Good to edit that out.
For sure. You answered around the comb or something, didn't you, James?
Oh yes, I said, well, I played the comb once. Does that count? And then when you kind of splice it together with brass, that really doesn't work.
No.
I'm glad they edited that out.
Nice.
So then round one ended 2-6 to Thrifters. It didn't seem that there was that much space in it, but a little point ahead. And then round two opens with one of the questions that when we were going on, it certainly was like, well, this is going to come up. Squid Game. So I assume, Antiphons, you hadn't seen it, or had you seen it and forgot about it?
We had just had a conversation beforehand. You said it was going to come up. We had a conversation in the green room about how, arguably, because the media landscape is increasingly fractured, you're going to have fewer and fewer current popular culture things.
Interesting. Yeah.
You can't expect everyone to have seen everything, whereas we all had the same music in the 90s or whatever, and everyone knew everything, but now it's all so fractured that I haven't seen Squid Game. And I'm not really interested in bothered.
I can imagine now.
I think I had heard about those things slightly by osmosis, but I didn't recognize them.
Yeah, same. Not when it kind of came up, I was like, oh yeah, that does make sense. But you sort of were vaguely aware of them, but not enough to put it together to get to the answer.
So who was it on the Thrifters then who picked that one up?
I think we'd all watched it, hadn't we? There was just a slight debate on whether it was going backwards or forwards, but we were quite confident it was going forwards.
I don't know if I've just misremembered. I seem to remember we sort of got to the answer pretty much at the same time, and then there was a sort of short discussion over sort of getting the order right between us.
Yeah. That was fair.
I watched it and I still didn't get it. But...
Yeah.
I got it, but only because I'm pretty sure the same question came up in Connections League at the end of last year.
It was dated when they filmed it, and even like
it was, wasn't it?
Even more dated now.
Yeah, it was. Maybe 18 months out of date when they asked it. But it was one of the ones we went, that and Rich Osmond's books. We were like, they'll come up.
Yeah,
at some point. But then he sort of went on a nice little tear there after that. Thrifters, great work on the music round. We love it when it gets to the stage of the season where second round music questions come in.
Yeah.
Were you aware that it was going to come up, or was it a little bit of a surprise when you got it?
I was shocked. We kind of forgot music sequences were a thing. Like they're in the back of our head that maybe would come up, but we thought it's still like round one-ish stage. It's not going to happen. And then oh god, we're going to have to sing now.
Yes. Well, let's talk about that. You all sang Respect. Which is, let's face it, a banger, but performed by probably inarguably the greatest singer of all time, most famously. How did you all feel as a collective having to sit in the shoes of Aretha?
Well, I think Victoria had to remind us of the lyrics before we started, so that wasn't a great start.
With the words on. But
and I was saying about TCP, and it was all very.
I don't kind of know the first line, and then it tails off a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not our style of music. Oh, in fact, Andy's got.
Oh, is that the card? Beautiful. Well, I love that you went for it. I think Felicity, you were really leading it. It seemed it was really. So someone just needs to do it with confidence, and that's all that matters.
It was a split second where you either go, I'm just going to kind of just mumble something, or I'm just going to go for it.
And someone has to establish a pitch.
The thing is, we can't all be Gerard. That's the problem. Gerard, I'll talk about it every week. I'll talk about it every week until I die. He really sang gold. Not everyone could do that, but I think you went for it. You didn't seem afraid of it, and that made it much better, I think.
I think we'd all be a bit happier if it was some Handel or something.
Would you want to sing some Handel for us now?
I remember that split second committing to it, and then we sort of went into the second, went into the second line. I just remember thinking, I can't hear anybody else here, so I'm going to stop.
Good choice. I think it was a great answer. Another really good question, I thought, and one of those ones where it always leads to a nice answer. And of course, Respect is such a perfect one for that. And you also did well on the Scottish cities, which I thought was
Yeah, that was all Will and his list learning there. Thanks for that one, Will.
I heard one of you say,
I don't think we would have got that one.
Yeah.
Not being as professional in quizzing.
There's always time. You can always get involved, Andrew. I've given you enough details. You can come do it. I thought that was a... It was clear there was, I was, even when the answer came up and you gave the answer, I still wasn't even sure what it was. Was it size based? Was it, and it turned out to be most recently turned in cities, right? Well, I thought you did, and did one of you say I gasped, I think?
Yes,
which
I gasped. Well, it used to be I gasped.
Yes, now it's I gasped.
Added I'd, yeah.
Yeah, but that was lovely work. And then the only dead question in the game was the one on the generational split books, and you seem to all get there, but just a little bit too late.
I could have started that all day, to be honest, and I would never have got there. But
I think I really liked it as a question.
Yeah,
it was,
I just thought
like the younger generation books. Just I hadn't heard of any of them.
Sophie Dahl's thing,
the top generation book. Then that was the problem. I think if even you just sort of got known one of them as a way into the question, but I liked it. I did like it as a question.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like after you saw Martin Amis, it was like, Sophie Dahl must have written a book, and you could then work out where to go. But it was a good question, but certainly tough. That's
I wonder if they'd have accepted two books by the same author.
I was thinking that does count. Surely, I'd have liked to have seen it. But it was another really good round, and it's 12-6 to Thrifters.
Can I throw in my favourite question?
No, you can't. I'm sorry. No, of course you can. Of course you can. Go, it's your show.
I thought the exceptions one was exceptional. Because all bishops of Rome are Catholic. Yeah, okay. All national flags are four-sided. No, they're not. So in my head, I'm thinking, I've forgotten this is a sequence, and I'm just going, well, that doesn't make sense because one isn't, one isn't, and I'm just so to spot that on the next one, all US states border other states, and again I was going, no, they don't. I just thought that was really nice.
Computer ready.
Yeah, as you can see, we couldn't think of a well-known example, but
I think you did very well to just sort of stumble your way to something because I was still kind of I'd kind of gone, well, it's a sequence, and my brain was still trying to work out which number we therefore should be on, and you took over and you got there.
Yeah, it was a really nice job. It was a good fun answer that you gave as well, which and Victoria having to sort of question you to make sure. It was a nice moment.
Yeah. Back to you, Lewis, after that diversion.
Thank you, Gareth. Then we got to the walls. It was one of those ones where the two walls sort of seemed in sync in a way that you obviously guys couldn't have known when you were there in the studio. Kind of into watching with the synonyms for sort of hiring and firing and words starting at the start. And that's where I want to start here. That word one that you got.
Yeah. Ours was way easier.
Insane.
Yeah, ours was way easier. I'm not going to lie about
that. You had the do for disco, right? That was a nice way in. But I just thought it was absolutely impossible. I'd be surprised if anyone got that one. Even though I was watching it going, surely it's got to be a word one because they had word.
You know, it's probably following the same theme as our wall, but you just
even with that extra information, I'd have felt like I was drowning. How did you guys feel anyway? Just trying to come up with anything from it.
I think by the time we got to the four, it was quite obvious it was a wordy one, and you had to stick something on the front, and we just couldn't get to what it was.
Painful.
It was really tough. But I think you did really well on the other subject. I think sometimes when there's like the genres of music, which you got really quick, sometimes when there's a simple one like that, it can. I find it really throws me off sometimes. I'm like, there's too many of these. I can't work my way around them. Andrew says that.
Yes, it's this seems too obvious to be
and sometimes it is. Sometimes they put it there as a misdirect. But it was good that you stuck with that, and you did really well on the genres of music, the words for finishing things, and the cleaning products. Nice, lovely mix of stuff on there. But yeah, that last one was so tough. But yeah, Thrifters, you did pretty with a quite hard subject of the sea monsters. There was one that I certainly haven't heard of. There. Yeah. But how did you find yours?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Like I say, especially looking at their wall, it was definitely the easier one of the two. Geography not being a strong subject for any of us three, really. The Spanish islands was a little bit. Was it Greek? No, it's Greek, wasn't it? So I thought it's quite sensible to watch it back that I was like, no, let's not do them now. Let's try and get the Greek islands done first, or whichever one we did first, just because like we weren't certain on which were real ones, and then coming back to the one group that we knew already, which was what was the group we knew? The Dis one. So because like we had those 4, but we were like, no, let's do them when we know that we've only got 3 lives. Let's try and get another group out first.
Lovely work from Jonathan.
Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't too bad. Like we recognised what the groups were, and it was just kind of quite quickly, and it was just a case of like putting everything in the right space, I guess.
There was an interesting tactical thing though you did, because you got the disc group, but you chose not to put it in. So you know, some people would say, "Well, just clear that out the way and simplify the board." What was your thinking about kind of leaving it up there amidst everything else?
It's like I say, we weren't sure on the other 2 groups which ones went in which, and when you've only down to 3 lives, it can go badly very quickly.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's get one of them out of the way, so then we know we're pretty safe and we can get it without losing any lives the next time. I think we probably picked up from Cockle from doing connections online Quiz League.
It definitely developed as a strategy during Cockle and practice, and only after we'd filmed did I think this is slightly idiosyncratic, and I don't think I've ever seen a team do it on the show.
I don't think
not like visibly like say out loud what we were doing anyway. That was
I've only seen connection. I've seen the Zoom free group just work out all the groups in their brain and then click them all in. I've never seen anyone do it on this. Well, they are freaks, frankly. They're insane. But yeah, you know, I think it was a really nice tactic, and it's interesting. I was talking about this with someone recently. That you watched the early episodes of the show, and no one spends any. You know, they as soon as they see it, they just punch it in, and then it took a little while for the meta game for people to go, no, we can use the extra 30 seconds to think about what this final group is, and maybe hopefully you guys are at the vanguard. But in future, we're going to have great television where some people just stare for 2 minutes, don't do anything, and then type it in, and we'll go, that was the Thrifters. They did that. So that left it at 22-13 going into the final round. Did that feel insurmountable, Antiphons? Was it?
I think so.
That's a large amount, right?
Yes, unlikely. Yeah.
How do you go into? What's your game plan though when you feel when Victoria gives the score and you're like, oh, we've got 9 points to get back on? What's the?
I think you just have to go and have fun with the missing vowels, but
I didn't get them right. But what sort of plan state changes?
You're really breaking this show down into a really good way of doing it, Andrew. Just answer things correctly. Yeah, I like it.
But because they put on when they broadcast it, they put the consonants up before we've seen them. You couldn't tell just how incredibly quick these guys were on the buzzer. It was we were kind of there. We were buzzing every time, and they just beat us to it.
There was one shot I noticed where you can see all of our shoulders sort of moving. We were kind of buzzing.
We were just punching it harder and harder. Because, is this even working? And it was so fast.
It did.
It is definitely strong. It's a weird buzzer as well, isn't it? Because like you don't have to press it very hard for it to buzz. It's not.
But it feels like a full push down.
Lots of goals on it.
So I think I remember telling Will after the first match, I was like, I saw you pressing it, but like you can just tap it, like because Will was trying to press it, and as a result, he wasn't getting in before the other team because he was pressing it all the way down. Whereas you can literally just spoilers, like just tap a little bit. Like
I had that in my head, but it was always. I had that in my head, but there was always just an animal instinct to go.
Just slam the buzzer down. Yeah,
it was a great final round. 10-5, and I think Antiphons, you got some of the much harder ones. I thought the ones where I was really puzzling them out, and
I'm sure we really got you guys like a few times just by like a fraction of a second. It's probably really
I can't remember too many that we like. I didn't think we didn't get, or we
were buzzing on most of them. They were just.
I don't know what was the one James got that I still don't know what it is.
I still don't want to know what it is.
I just can't.
You didn't seem to know what it was, James.
Roberts.
Who or what?
Roberts, wasn't it?
Roberts.
Oh yeah.
Can I help anyone?
Barbie, I think.
Barbie, I think. Yeah, I think it's Barbie's sister.
Oh yes, it's my younger sister. Yeah, I think.
I was like 80% in the film now. So.
Yeah. I was like 80% sure on that one, but I was like, I don't want to risk losing the point. We've got such a good score. I don't want to like lose the point.
We just wanted to get just say hello. We're still here.
Yeah.
Steve, as
so Harry Kane, I was trying to get on that one, but yeah.
Of course, Steve, as the people's champion of the show, I've called you many times. You are the people's champion of this program. How did it feel as a veteran watching this episode? Was there moments? Did it send you flooding back sometimes into a reverie, wishing you were back there?
Oh, it always does. And it was as you've already said, and as everyone has said, it was played in such good spirit, and there were some really good answers given as well. I've been waiting for a music sequence this whole series. I mean, when we were on, we had one. It was given to the other team, and I did say to my teammates beforehand, like, right, if there's a music sequence, I promise you guys, I'm going to sing whatever the fourth in the sequence. And I didn't think it was going to come over, and then it did. And then I thought, right, okay. So, it was nice to see another music sequence, and again, really well figured out. There were some really nice questions, and again with the missing vowels, I think we played your team recently in Concord.
Yeah, you did.
And I knew that from your first episode, I was like, right, these guys are going to be really fast on missing vowels. And you were immensely quick. I
think he beat us by 3 points, all because we said horse instead of donkey on the grid, and then it would have been a tie.
We're right for that now.
Yeah, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter. But yeah.
Bad luck.
Yeah, but no, it's just such
great
a good
game.
Yeah.
It was another really good one. I mean, I'm biased. I think it's been a fantastic series, I'm glad that we get to see both of you guys once more, because the range of knowledge on the show has been absolutely fantastic, and everyone's been really engaging. They know what they're doing in casting.
Yeah,
you've got to say,
it's almost like they've been doing it for like 18 years.
Yeah, they've just got to rhythm.
Yeah, and every now and then, some duffers slip through, but apart from that, no, it's been a great series. Both, as I said it before, both in the caliber of the teams, but also the entertainment value of the teams. And we shouldn't forget that this is not just a quiz for the benefit of the 6 people playing. This is a quiz for the benefit of 3 million people watching and playing on as well at home. So it's been fantastic, and we get to see you all again, which is even better. So tremendous. Highlights before we move on then, very, very quickly. Will, what was your highlight of tonight's show?
I'm going to go for the working out the months, I think. The derivations of names and months, because that was just a nice eureka moment. We had this idea it was some sort of derivation of something, but I couldn't work out quite what it was. So just to spot that, I think was my favourite.
Yeah, and I liked your little bit of evasive shimmy. When he was trying to get you to explain the. Jack, what about you?
I'll take a second to toot my own horn and say I was really happy with the way that I worked out this is not a question, in that as soon as I worked out they didn't actually own a real massive drill, and it was a metaphor, it clicked in a really satisfying way. But I mean, for me, it's always watching Sam and Will do missing vowels. I promise you, I am getting them. I'm not as fast as them, and I feel like it's clicked for me 5 months after we filmed.
Yeah.
Sam.
Yeah, I think on the subject of missing vowels, probably sweeping the first. Was it the Hoppers board? Because just with the caliber of how fast all the teams are, it's very hard to get like all 4 of a category, and for us to do that as a team was really good for me. Yeah, just with that.
If I could just add 2, I like the fact we got to dance at the wall. That was,
you did a little dance. You and Jack did. I sort of just stood there awkwardly, but yeah.
I like that. It is a little highlight.
Who was it last week? I think they were talking about line dancing on the show. This is a thing apparently now. Dancing as well. So, yeah. Well, innovating.
Crossover with Strictly next year.
Andrew.
I came into watching this with almost zero memory of what occurred, and I made myself chuckle where somewhere in the wall I'm mumbling something about late, as in the late Arthur Dent.
If you can make yourself chuckle, it's always a good one.
Exactly.
Felicity.
Well done.
I mean, it was sort of excruciating at the time, and it was excruciating to watch back. But I think we were quite pleased that we did get a singing moment, because I think that's become a sort of, it's a rite of passage now for Only Connect. I think we felt that we got this sort of complete Only Connect experience by having one of those.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what you want from the show,
we wanted it.
Yeah.
But yes.
James?
Probably getting Skipper Roberts without actually knowing who or what Skipper Roberts was.
Nice.
So,
what about Lewis and Steve? I think I've already said mine was the exceptions question. Lewis and Steve, your favourite moment? Sorry?
I was going to say after you, Lewis, but it looks like you're still thinking, so I'm going to fill that.
It was all amazing.
Oh, okay.
So
it was a great game. I mean, for me, it's always a music sequence. I absolutely adore a music sequence. And, yeah, it was a really good moment. So I really enjoyed that.
I think I'm pretty good with Steve. I thought that was a really lovely question. Not just because I wrote a quad on spelt questions in song that featured 3 of those songs earlier this season, PCC, but also it led to some singing, and I do love the singing. It is it's become like Michael Portillo, a cult part of the show, and it makes it for me. And I thought everyone did a lovely job, and it just showed how. I think it just shows the fun and sort of comfortable nature that everyone has on the show, that you happily sing one of the best songs of all time, one of the greatest singers of all time. Well, maybe it's a stretch, yes. But the fact that you just freely do that, I think really sums up the vibe the show creates and makes it entertaining for everyone at home.
Cool. And Catherine has chucked in my 22 points on Only Connect. For an autistic person who struggles so much with the abstract nature of Only Connect questions, this is a miraculous result, my best ever. We'll take our wins. Well done, Catherine.
Amazing.
Thank you so much, Will, Felicity, James, Andrew, Jack, Sam. It's been great having you, and you, Steve, as well. It's been wonderful having you. We are going to disappear and watch a video very shortly, at which point you're welcome to stay on and join us to talk about University Challenge if you would like. But otherwise, when we come back from the video, we will be chatting University Challenge and then going into Quiz Week and the news from the world of quiz. So if you are departing us, thank you so much for coming on, everybody.
Thank you.
It's been lovely chatting once more. And best of luck for your next round retrospectively, because we know you will. Cheers, all.
Thank you.
Have you been waiting for a range of quiz merchandise to come on the market? Then wait no more. Whatever type of quizzer you are, whether you're a flashcarder, or you quiz with pride, or want to celebrate great quizzes like Millionaire Champions, or Bill McCaig, the king of 15 to 1, or your favourite TV shows, or even your favourite YouTube channel, where do you go? The answer's loading. It's tinyurl.com/ATQ store. Cough, cough, product placement. Anyway, weren't they great, Lewis? Oh,
great, really good.
Bunch of people.
Lovely to have so many people on.
We are
really
blessed.
good. Yeah, blessed.
University Challenge. Well, I learned something tonight. I learned Northeastern is a university in the
UK.
Knew?
Who knew? I thought that was just in Illinois or wherever it is. Yeah, interesting. But great to see another university pop up on. There's always, every couple of seasons, I say there's one where I think, surely I've read every single possible university on the UCAS list. But no, here they are, doing great performance, giving us a really great game, I thought.
It was an interesting one. I mean, partly when I said York had been on 28 times, and I'm thinking York was founded the same year as my university, and we had to wait until about 6 years ago to get our first appearance in the modern era. They've been on 28 times. So, but no, good to see York there, and York played very well. Garwood for Northeastern. Michael's highlight was a question on Eric Bristow.
I'm with Michael 100%. For that to be like question 2 on a starter or something, it's superb. I think that really set the tone for me. And just showed like this is a show that's changing. I don't think we would have got a question about Eric Bristow maybe even 3 years ago.
No.
Really good to see, I thought.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Michael, as well. You didn't park in. I would have thought as a northeasterner, you'd have been happy with that. Yeah, represented tonight. It was an interesting one to me because York set off like a train and could have been a long way ahead, but their conversion of bonuses was just like consistently just picking up one, which means that Northeastern always had a chance of coming back because the distance wasn't that great. So I mean, how important is it, when you do get in, to try and compound the advantage by picking up 2-3 bonuses?
I think it's so important. I think that's where the game's won and lost a lot of the time. I think you need to be averaging 2. I think really to be anywhere. You're going to get. Hopefully, there's always going to be one, right? There's always going to be the one question, which is the gimme, the easy part. But yeah, you just have to. With the game can change so quickly with negs and with the other team. If the other team picks up 25 points on a point where you've only picked up 15 and then neg, maybe it's those points can just snowball, which we saw with that really great run that Northeastern went on in the middle of the show. And I felt like I'd blinked and suddenly they were back in it after I thought it was gonna be a real trouncing from York. Right on. They came straight back into it
and put themselves in the lead as well, which was a remarkable thing. And then York is like they woke up again. Katie, resent the mention of Scotland in the parking question. And then Michael saying parking not a Teesside thing. So who knew that parking could be so controversial?
It matters to people.
It does.
And who can blame them? It's delicious.
What's the other thing? Is it Parmo? Is that the thing, Michael?
Parmo's Mike's thing. That's in the borough.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it was good to see that it stirred some sort of reaction. But this was tight until pretty near the end. 135-20 with 4 starters to go. Of course, they don't know that, but I wonder, it would have been interesting to get people on how aware York were of that 160 point mark, because we've certainly had higher scoring matches than this, but when 160 gets you into the next round, I don't know. I mean, both of them could conceivably have done it.
Definitely, easy could have been 165, 160 sort of game with one winning and one being through to the repechage. I think it would have been. I'd have been interested. If I was on this season, you're not going to be that sure of that point early on. Like when we were on, last season we were really sure. Like we've looked at it, no one's ever scored lower than this amount and not got into the repechage. That was our real aim. We looked at like 5 seasons worth of numbers, and we knew that was a real mark that we wanted to score to, because we knew we'd get a second game out of it regardless of what happened. But as we've seen, this is round 1 done now. The change in the speed and the pace of the show, and maybe even to some extent the sort of syllabus that's being asked, has meant that those preconceived notions and the ideas and the stats are all out the window. It was useful for us when we were on because we had a spy, a sort of a man at the center of a spider's web. I won't name him. He's been on the show for years. Who was sort of seemingly telling us scores as they happened in other games. I think before the game's finished a lot of the time. So we had a real idea even early on exactly what we needed to score and where we were going to be, and who we might even face in the repechage round when we did know we were going to get. But I think, all that sort of stuff this time must be completely thrown out the window. But the opportunity with the pace that Amol reads at, just to get scoring, I think is so exciting. I'm so jealous of everyone this season, really. Like, it was great to be on Jeremy's last season. But to be on the show, which is really, I think it's blown me out of the water, Gareth, I think, really. I've been so much more engaged this season than I thought I'd be. Particularly because it took me about 5 years after I was on the chase and lost to rewatch the chase. Whereas I've been happily, watching week to week, not just so I can talk about it with you, obviously, but just because it has been genuinely really entertaining. With again well-cast teams, people have been interesting, such good knowledge on show. It's been a really great season.
Yeah, it has, and it'll be really interesting now to take a step back and think about all of those really great teams we've seen, and when we see the draw, to see how the producers approach this, because there could be some monstrous matchups. We don't know yet, but that will be really interesting.
Yeah, round 2 can be really, really cruel, and but hopefully it's going to create some absolute mega matches for us to talk about.
So well done to York. The punning, there was some amazing punning earlier about cereals, but Claire Barrow, parking enforcement, always a thorny issue. Gerard, I'm not fond of parallel parking. I think you come second in that one, Gerard.
I agree. What does that mean? What does that mean in this context? It doesn't mean anything, Gerard. It's got to make sense, Gerard.
Bless him. Well, that's University Challenge. Let's move on to news from the world of quiz and see what's been going on. Some of it in your absence, Lewis. Last week's Quizzer of the Week was Chris Ducklin, who had a fantastic performance in Pop Culture Challenge. Pop Culture Challenge has just wrapped up its regular season, I guess.
Yeah, we're in the tiers now.
We're into tiers. So there will
be tiers.
Indeed.
I believe there's already been tiers. I've seen the first result from a tier 1 match this evening, and I would call it an upset, Gareth.
Oh, well, I will look out for that. That will be interesting. But Chris did particularly well, which was great for him. Look forward to seeing how Pop Culture Challenge plays out. Did you play this season, Lewis?
No, I'm writing.
You're writing. See, that will be why you're not featuring in the tier 1.
Obviously, that's where I belong. I've been tier 1 finisher every time I have played, but I've written for the last 2 seasons, and I love it. I love writing for it. I think it's so much fun, and I have come up with some great stuff. I've got a couple quads in this week, so I'm looking forward to people getting a look at. I want to give a shout out to Michael, particularly, who has kept his always tier 1 status. I think it's him and Matt Williams that have done
Williams, yeah.
Both previous champs, and they've made tier 1 every single time, which I think is so impressive. You look at the churn, sort of the number of different names that have made tier 1, and how some of those people that have made tier 1 have finished as low as 7, 8. Those guys to be that consistent over 3 years now is so impressive. And good luck to him in the next couple of games.
Absolutely. Second was Tom Mead. He got 13.
Huge.
Huge. I mean,
I want to see the set. Has anyone got the set? I'm not going to pay for it. If someone wants to illegally send me the set, I want to see what those questions were. Because 30.5 on entertainment is huge from Tom.
I think I got 25. I think I'd heard of another 3. And there were a couple that I would never have got. It was, to get 30 on that set was tremendous. Mega. Tom pips Pat Gibson, who actually won the whole
thing.
But I guess when you're Pat Gibson and you win Grand Prix quite regularly, actually somebody like Tom kind of outperforming, what would be expected.
Tom did something special. Pat did what Pat makes. Pat does. Yeah, exactly. He is an egghead. They do what they do. That apparently it's a catchphrase somehow. But incredible performance.
Gerard saying, I don't know Ducklin, but he's become a beautiful quiz swan. Gerard.
Just use only the good ones, Gerard. Every other one, you don't have to say it. It's okay.
Yeah. Michael, 28.3, that's in entertainment. 3rd place behind Tom.
28.3 would normally win any category, right?
So well done, Tom. Splendid Isolation won Team of the Week. That's Pam's team in OQL, who had a good week that week. So
well done, Pam.
Second was Gunners from Only Connect. 3rd was Grey Monks Quiz League of London, who had a fantastic week. So well done to all of you. Now, this week's nominees. So Scott Blish, who is turning into the monster of Mimir. He is just doing so well in all
Mimir competitions.
He is.
He has no weaknesses in any format, and he just knows everything. I know he goes through some personal issues. I'm friends with him on Facebook. He's very honest about his life and his health, and for the stuff that he goes through to be as good as he is, it's so impressive. Very funny man. But he can just do it on all formats. He's so good.
Both syllabus, international culture and pop culture, and so he's a good advert as well for a quizzer who kind of found things a little bit out of balance, quiz life balance, took some time out, rebalanced, has come back absolutely firing on all cylinders. So 13 out of 15, Scott, in Pop Solos, which is their equivalent, American equivalent of Pop Culture Challenge. Loads of full houses this week. Richard Brooks in Quiz League of London was the first that will come up. He won't be the last. Li Chao Fan won episode 3 of the Chinese National Treasures quiz show. I don't know if that's available on YouTube. Yi, if you're watching, and it is, put it in the chat.
Let us know.
Some full houses, QLL, Brendan Curtis, Tom Deneen, both got full houses. Well,
Brendan's first ever, I think I saw Brendan say it was his first ever full house in any format. So delighted for him. Delightful, lovely man.
And there's a degree of kind of, yes, as with any quiz, things falling your way, but the pressure of time means you have to play well to recall things and get it right.
Particularly in QLL, where you're not going to be playing free guests, you might have the fist of a teammate going up.
Yeah.
You go, oh, is the point maybe for the victory more important? But yeah, great. It's such a tough thing to do. Well done to him.
And for anybody who doesn't know what a full house is, in that format, each individual gets 8 questions over the course of the quiz asked to them alone, which they can get for 2 points or pass to a teammate for 1 point. And there's some jeopardy. It can go over the table to the opposition for a bonus. So that's what the full house means. You get all of the questions that are asked to you correct. Now, Australia, it was Australian National Quiz Day at the weekend. David House won 2, I've called it 2 genres, basically they're specialist quizzes. And he was a member of the team champions. So good weekend for David House. Good day today. Sorry about the spoiler, chaps. Colin Kidd won the latest heat of Brain of Britain. He's a Hertfordshire-based quizzer, plays Quiz League of London. Very good at that sort of curriculum, so I'm not surprised he won. So well done to Colin. Pop Solos, again, another 13 out of 15. The equivalent over here, Jack Lewis, you'll know Jack pretty well. 14 out of 15 in Pop Culture Challenge. That's a fantastic performance.
Huge score. And I think even maybe like one extra point that he got in that, one of his extra owns, led to him being in Tier 1, finishing Tier 1. First time he's done that in a couple of seasons. And I know that he's made it through his quarterfinal that he's played tonight, knocking out Jonathan Gibson, which is huge.
Wow.
Yeah. Absolutely delighted for him. I know he loves this comp. I'm glad that he's in his semi. But yeah, 14 out of 15. It was a tough week last week as well. We saw a lot of people. We're looking forward to seeing the stats to see if Seat 4 was as bad as people were claiming. But a lot of people struggled. I certainly would have. There was a couple. I wrote nothing last week. So, no, not my fault. Don't blame me. But yeah, I think massive score in a thing. Still only 3 people have ever got a full house. 15 out of 15. Yeah. In Pop Culture Challenge. So 14 out of 15 is so strong.
Superb by Jack. Back to full houses. John Presloyd in OQL USA got full house. Another 13 out of 15 in Pop Solos in America. Drew Sheila. Rob Sutherland got the only OQL full house of the week this week. So again, with so many players playing, that's pretty
hard. It was a hard week. I was on holiday, but I reread the set afterwards. So I thought it was a tough one. Rob always impresses me, and he's a very nice man.
Full houses for Dean Vaz and Cameron Newell in Quiz League of London, and we saw Rob tonight winning Mastermind. So vote is open. tinyurl.com/QW16opt23 to vote for your favourite out of those. And for Team of the Week, now this was monstrous. All sorts in Division 1 of Quiz League of London, so no free guess. Out of 32 questions asked to their team, they got 28 correct.
That's just nuts.
It's just ridiculous. And they do have Gavin Fuller and they do have Kevin Ashman, etc. But nonetheless, that is just
even so
ridiculous. So
that is mad. Well done. Incredible.
Yeah, so superb play. And unsurprisingly, the top scorers in the Quiz League of London as well last week. Team champions at Australia National Quiz Day, Bo House, David House, and Brendan Piggott. Well done to them. Showing that it don't have to be like top of the tree to necessarily get a nomination. The Inklings, they beat the leaders of OQL Division 7A to go top. Fantastic achievement within Division 7A. So well done to the Inklings, the upset of the week. In Quiz Nations Portugal, Manos Castro, they are the team to beat. They were the top scorers yet again. I almost didn't put Risky Quizness in because, quite frankly, with a team name like that, they should be docked points.
It's not as bad as Quizzy Rascals.
Or Norfolk and Chance. Or
exactly. We could be here all day. But yeah, Risky Quizness is not in the worst echelon, I think.
Yeah, I mean but anyway, they hadn't got a win in OQL USA until this week when they beat the leaders of Division 4 Ruby. So well done to them, turning their form around. Australian National Quiz Day again. Jason Taylor and Paul Backer. They won the pairs competition, and then we've seen them tonight, York and Thrifters. So well done to all of those. Again, tinyurl.com/QW16op23. Shout outs. See, I was prepared, Lewis. Matt Williams and Michael McPartland have made it to tier 1 of every season of Pop Culture Challenge. But we've talked about that. So well done to. Oh, notice another comment by Gerard in the chat. just gonna move on. Just gonna move on. So yeah, you can nominate a team or quizzer at tinyurl.com/ATQ-nominations. You can also give a shout out. So it doesn't have to be worthy of a nomination, but you might just say, actually, so and so did well, or so and so did a nice thing or a good thing or whatever. So you can do shout outs as well as nominations at that address. News. I won't go through this in detail. We went through it last time, but Trivia Hall of Fame is still open to vote. There are some candidates from all around the world, from USA, from UK, from Australia. Some people living, some people dead. There's all sorts to choose from. Yeah, so if you want to vote for that, the address is there. Upcoming events. Why is the formatting gone awry? It looked fine earlier. So we've got our members quiz on Zoom on 29th of October. So if you want to join as one of our patrons, you can come along. You can even do the free trial if you do that within 7 days in advance. There are a couple of Quiz Bowl tournaments coming up. The UK Quiz Bowl Open Tournament at Warwick on the 28th is open, but only just. It closes next week. So Michael Cohen has been in touch with me and said it's closing. Let people know. So if you want to play in that open tournament, you don't have to be a student. Then put yourself forward. And Creek, which is a tournament at Sheffield University on the 4th of November. It's a mirror tournament of an American tournament. I think that's probably student teams only, but
I think it is, yes.
Then if you signed up to our newsletter, there'll be a link to that, and you can check that out. And to sign up for our newsletter, go to our website, allthingsquiz.com, and we've got a link tree below, and you can see the addresses there. And also open for applications, International Culture Challenge. Deadline is 10th of November, so that's coming up. Only Connect Mastermind are looking for contestants, as our ITV shows, and Quiz Nations Global is coming soon. So that's been a busy, packed week in the world of quiz. Lewis, it's been great having you back.
Being here.
Good chatting. Good for everybody in the chat, even the puntastic people in the chat.
We've made Gerard say sorry. I mean, I don't think that's ever happened before. We love you for it, Gerard. Yeah. I hosted Gerard in Connections League only yesterday, and I can't even remember what he came in, but literally the first thing he said when he came into the room was a pun. Yeah. It's what you expect from him. It's what we love from him.
Yeah. He is never not on brand. And talking about never not being on brand, we've totally failed to have a short show tonight.
He was back. It's fine. We can forgive ourselves this week.
We had a lot of people chatting, and it was good fun. But thank you to everybody who's watched. Thank you to all of our guests. Too many of them to name, but you're all fantastic. Thanks to Lewis for being my co-host and riding shotgun with me once more. And for everybody who's been chatting, brilliant. Don't forget you can vote for what is the question at WITQ. tinyurl.com/WITQ. What is it, Valerie? Sorry, Blink. tinyurl.com/WITQ Blink, and vote for Team of Quizzer at the Week at tinyurl.com/QW 16oct23. We'll be back next week. I believe we've already got one person in the bank as a guest. So Tom, who has been on my Quiz League London team until recently, he is about to emigrate. He emigrates next Tuesday to Australia, I think it is. But on the Monday night, he will be with us talking about Mastermind.
Amazing.
We won't read anything into the fact that he's emigrating about his result or his performance. So bless him, God bless him. And we will try and find some more guests to chat to us about quiz. So until next week, thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy yourselves, whatever you do. And we will be back same time next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.